Hey everybody, hope everyone had a fantastic weekend, and as you can hear, the Cougars won both of their games over the weekend, so yay! It was a fantastic weekend for me, parked on the couch, soaking in as much basketball as I could, and listening to some good legal arguments on one of my podcasts I really enjoy, and I'll have a little something on that at the end. So let's go ahead and dive into what's been going on over the last week. And here is the weekly economic update for March 22nd, 2021. Last week we talked about rising bond yields and how it was its effect on stock investments over the last few weeks. You can see that the Dow Jones was down about 0.5%. S&P was down about 3/4. Same with the Nasdaq. The only thing that was up in major indexes was international, which gained about 1.25. So on the rising bond yields, the stock market had started out fairly positive at the beginning of the week because bond yields had began to decline. But the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, announced that they were going to keep their easy money policies, and the Dow and the S&P 500 shortly after that, or the next couple days, Thursday and Friday, were not quite as good. So looking here, treasuries, the 10-year treasury moved above 1.75%, its highest in 14 months, and the 30-year broke 2.5. So kind of a mixed week in the stock market, but with all the crap going on in the world, it's certainly not unexpected. The Fed also said that they plan on not raising interest rates through 2023, and that they're going to continue their bond purchases of at least $120 billion per month. So I know I covered last week, or maybe the week before, the asset purchases by the Fed and the balances of assets, not just of our central bank, but of the other major central banks around the world. So we'll see how long this will continue. I personally don't think that the Fed can continue to keep rates down at zero for this long, but I could be surprised. So let's see, was there anything else? They said that the FOMC projects that the economy should grow at 6.5% this year, increasing their previous estimate of a 4.2% gain. Unemployment, they guess, will be about 4.5%, down from the 6.2 where it's at today. So I know they're trying to target a 2% inflation rate. Based upon the money creation and the M1 money supply, I would guess that inflation is going to be a little higher than 2% in the coming years. So, but we'll see. All right, on the horizon this week, Monday we have existing home sales, Tuesday's new home sales, Wednesday's durable goods, and the PMI composite, Thursday GDP and jobless claims, and then Friday consumer sentiment. Let's see who's reporting earnings this week. Adobe and GameStop tomorrow. Wednesday General Mills. Thursday Darden. I guess that's a Darden Landry's restaurants, or is it like Longhorn? I forget. Anyways. All right, so that's about everything I had in my update. Let's click over to some of the white papers I'm putting out this week. This first one talks about the economics of spring training, how last year with COVID shutting down baseball spring training, how the effects on the economy. For example, the Cactus League, which is in Arizona, generates typically about $644 million and creates about 6,000 jobs. Florida's about the same. Those numbers will probably be muted this year simply because I know there's capacity limits in certain places, and so they're not going to have as many people working. All right, the next white paper, the Shred Party. You don't want to throw out bills and statements and things like that just in your regular trash. I think most people are aware of this. You don't want somebody dumpster diving and taking your credit card numbers and personal data. For myself, we've had shredders in our house going back to when we lived in Florida, and that was back in the 90s. Probably on our third or fourth one by now, because I'm pretty abusive to them. I shove too much paper through them and they jam up. But if you don't have a shredder at home, personally, you can get one very easily. Go to Office Depot. You can pick up a cheap one for next to nothing, beat it to death, and then just go get a new one. But if you have a lot of, say you have boxes of old tax returns from 20 years ago and, other, mortgage documents and stuff that has private information on there, if that stuff's, you don't even live in those homes and it's been 10 or 20 years, probably a good idea if there's a place in your local area that's holding a shred party. Sometimes Iron Mountain or some of the other big companies that handle shredding of private documents will, put up a truck where you can go and shred all your documents. So that's it's a nice thing to do. So maybe do some Google searches in your local area and see if maybe your local accountant or I've seen them for all sorts of businesses have offered shred parties. So again, it's probably easier just to buy a shredder and keep it at home. But if you don't have one and you got a lot of information you got to get rid of, don't burn it in your fireplace. And if you do, open the flue. Not blaming anyone here. I'm not pointing any fingers. Anyways. All right, so moving on to the next white paper, qualified charitable distributions. Typically for folks who, as they get older and you have your required minimum distributions due each year to pull out of your IRAs and 401ks, sometimes people don't need the money, but they have to move the money out of an IRA, and for most folks, they just put it into their brokerage account and continue to invest the way they normally have, simply just paying the taxes on the amount withdrawn. But if taxes are a concern for you and you want to be able to minimize your tax burden for the year, it might make sense to look at a qualified charitable distribution where you just take the money out of the IRA, pay it directly to a charitable organization, and you're able to meet the RMD requirement for making the withdrawal, and also not have to pay taxes on that since it's since you've donated it to a charity. All right, next we got IRS is delaying filings until May 17th. Certainly good news. I'm in no rush to get my taxes done, so I know a lot of people will, welcome this this opportunity. So, all right, I have a white paper here: financial strategies for athletes. I personally don't know any athletes, but if you do, feel free to give this a peruse. And basically, for folks who come into large windfalls, you just want to make good financial decisions with your money. All right, the American Rescue Plan makes FSAs a little more flexible. The change there is that if you have dependent care contributions, they've increased that up to $10,500 from $5,000, and for single filers from $52,500 or up to $52,500. I'm sorry, $5,250 from $2,500. So no changes for health FSAs, and rollovers will still continue. Investing during periods of inflation. I know I've been harping on this for quite a while now, and this white paper basically covers everything that I've already talked about over the last few weeks. When prices rise and you have a stable sort of income, whether or not Social Security or a pension, if you were getting, say, $2,000 a month and now all your costs have gone up by 50%, you might find it very, very tough to, make ends meet in those circumstances. So, things I've done for my clients, increasing exposure to gold and silver and other tangible assets that should hopefully hold their value, in this inflationary environment that I think most people are waking up to. More and more economists are spending time talking about it, and So we'll see. Let's hope that inflation isn't as terrible as I imagine it can get, but we'll see where this goes. All right, well, that was all the news and white papers I wanted to cover. I did want to leave you with some podcasts that I was listening to over the weekend. This comes from a gentleman who calls himself Legal Man, and his podcast is called The Quash. And so I listened to, I basically put my headphones in and watched basketball all weekend. So I made it through quite a few of his podcasts, and they're fairly short. They're about 20 minutes each, and so I've been trying to burn through them and get caught up to his most recent one. So, but the ones that I really enjoyed, this first one was called "The 14th Amendment." Amendment was never ratified. So let's go ahead and take a minute and give this a listen.
Now, it's utterly asinine. So now that we have the background for how we got to this point, okay, I want to show you how completely bogus the ratification of the 14th Amendment actually was. Okay, set the stage. The war ends in April. At the end of June, the southern states are declared back in the Union and everything's supposedly honky-dory. Okay. 13th Amendment, which is the one that ends slavery, okay, that's ratified. So that's put away. The 14th Amendment is not about slavery. Okay, it's just not. It's about government control and power. Okay, so the 13th Amendment was ratified, and in fact, 7 southern states ratified it, voted yes to ratify it. That thing's out of the way. The southern states elect some congressmen and senators in that fall, and they're going to get seated in December. And what happens when they arrive? The northern states vote to keep them from being seated. That's right. The way the Constitution works, it just takes a simple majority to refuse to seat a member of Congress or the Senate. What they did was the North got together, since they had a majority, and they simply voted to prevent the entire block of Southern congressmen and senators from being seated. 22 senators, 58 congressional representatives, none of whom were seated.
All right, we'll stop that one right there. I'll go ahead and share the link if anyone wants to listen to the full episode. Like I said, it's about 20 minutes. It's an interesting listen, and really makes you question the legitimacy of the United States government. The next one I wanted to share with you is the Constitution is not binding on you. And let's go ahead and give that one a quick listen.
I'm like, okay, well, still, what's the legal theory? And it just kind of stalls out right there. And, that was acceptable when I was in law school. Didn't really care. It was like, whatever, put that on the back burner. But once I became a practicing lawyer for years, I saw all the screwed up stuff the state got away with. I just thought, well, hold it. This is an important issue. I mean, if they're going to claim they're doing all this stuff, and they're going to claim we have the consent of, by, and for the people, and it's the greatest system ever, and Constitution that's what separates us from all these other countries. Okay, well then I need to understand what is it exactly that gives them this authority, because just a piece of paper, a document written years ago, how does that bind me? In what way does that create this authority they claim? Think about it. They claim to have the authority over me such that if I don't do whatever it is they say I have to, they're entitled to come kill me.
We'll stop that there. So again, another interesting listen. The more I dive into how our government was formed, the things that they've done over the last 200, almost 50 years, again, it makes me question the legitimacy of this government and the rules and taxes that are imposed upon us. So good listen. It's always good to question authority and to hold their feet to the fire. So anyways, that's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. Be sure to like, subscribe on all the platforms that are out there. And hope you have a great week. And if you need anything, just reach out. Bye-bye.